Hi, loves. Welcome to a new episode of AW Confidential. I've been having a lot of conversations with my girlfriends, as we all do these days. It's one of the best outlets, at least for me it is. Now, we've been talking a lot about modern dating, and I'm seeing a pattern, and I'm hoping my guests can help me deconstruct this a little bit today. The pattern that I've noticed is that we want connection, yet commitment often feels heavier than it should. We're either hiding it, denying that we want it, or just ignoring our needs for commitment. So I'm I'm wondering, when did love start feeling like something that we need to manage instead of something to own? And I think I've been guilty of doing a little bit of that myself. Today we're exploring how choose yourself may have evolved into something more guarded, why ambiguity often feels safer than clarity, and what that shift is quietly costing us in our relationships or situationships. I'm joined today by Dr. Jacquie Del Rosario, a relationship expert featured on CNN, Fox News, Bravo, and many other national outlets. Dr. Jacquie, how are you?
I'm on top of the world and rising. Looks like we got
I
a great topic to jump into today.
As I was prepping for this, I was trying to figure out how to condense it because it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's personal because I think at some point we've all sort of, as women, I
Mm.
think the more independent we get, the more autonomy we have, the more, I know for me, we try to hold on to it, but we also want the partnership. And it's a seesaw. It's a little there's a little of a game that sort of goes on there.
Mm.
And the good thing is that we're having these conversations, and I think we've come a long way. From
Well,
your I want to start with from your perspective, you're our expert today. What has shifted in modern dating that makes commitment feels heavier than it once did? Because I remember we wanted that relationship label. We wanted to be the girlfriend, the wife, the fiance. And now we're sort of doing a little bit of a, you know, kind of stepping back a little bit from that. Why are we
well,
doing this?
there's an old proverb that says, "Do not remove the ancient boundaries." And what it simply means is, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So I think as we evolve, a lot of things change. We have new technologies, but doesn't mean that we need to move away from the very foundational things that worked. So let's talk about science. We know that based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that we have these basic needs. Every human being has them. Tony Robinson frames them in one of the first being knowing, this idea of having certainty. Now, we all know that the less certainty that people have, the more things are topsy turvy and nobody understands what's going to happen tomorrow, the greater the level of anxiety. So, I'm going to start by saying I think that we've moved away from some of our basic needs. So we've adapted to, online dating. I think that there's been a shift in the last 15 years where the majority of people's first contact, particularly in younger generations, is made, through dating apps or some form of social media online interaction. So what we see that's happened is that a lot of the things that gave us the glue that held good relationships together or made it very easy for them to prosper, get stronger, develop, for you to build something out with someone else. A lot of that framework is gone now. So if most of my interactions with you are through pictures that you've posted, that you've gotten to curate about the you that you want to show to the public, very different. Some of those people you don't even recognize them when you see them in person because they look so different
It
than
happened to me.
okay. Happens all the time. And so what I guess I want to say is I think that what we're feeling in the dating industry is the fact that we've done all of these things through technology, but it has not really done a very good job of filling the void. And the reason why is because I think we're moving away from the things, the glue that cements together good relationships and it gives us the ability to build them out. And another thing to just add to that is that as I think the further away we're moving from those things, the more we're losing the skill base that we used to have. There was a study that was conducted on men dating on apps or on through some virtual format. It was less than 60 something percent of them said between the ages of 18 and say 30 years old that said that they actually have approached a woman in real life. All of their initial connections or contacts with that woman were through a text or something on a virtual platform. Now, that says a lot because then that means that the men are no longer operating in their masculine energy, which is to know how to woo a woman, to pursue a woman. And just for those that are same sex that are listening, feminine and masculine energy is what it is. I don't think that, we have to argue over that, regardless of how you identify. So that area of learning to pursue, learning to create connection, I'm a walking specimen. My husband, when I met him, I said, oh, he's a great guy for someone. Never saw it as being me. But I can tell you, he knew how to engage me in a conversation. He knew how to, because he was able to do that, he was able to build something over time. How many people are in relationships where they never really saw themselves being with that person? But wow, they did such a great job of sticking with it, pursuing, creating those pathways of connection. Now I hear people say all the time, well, we don't have a connection. Did you try to build one? And that's my next question. And how do you build?
And you're right. How do you build? Well, we're made for connection. But I think the more that technology comes into our lives, and now we have this listen, I'm not judging anyone, but dating an AI bot, I am not understanding it. I'm not.
It's the same reason why people travel with their dogs. They go to restaurants because they don't have someone else to be with, or they don't trust themselves to another human. So what do they relegate themselves to? A pet. Because what? A pet doesn't abandon you, doesn't walk out and leave you. A pet. So they're going to restaurants with their pet. They're going to hotels, traveling, so that they're not traveling alone. Instead of using that muscle, using it and strengthening it and creating the skill sets that support healthy relationships. So, my concern is that the institution of marriage is also shrinking simply because people don't have the skill sets to negotiate healthy relationships. So, what do? They relegate themselves to I don't know, a knockoff, something that feels like, looks like, but isn't? And
Well,
so
it's
moving the goal line and no one's happier. Very few people are happier because they moved the goal line. Guess why? Because we still have our human needs.
And I'm glad you're mentioning that because I feel like ambiguity is it's almost like normalized now. I don't know if if this is the proper term, but there are a lot of people in situationships.
Yes,
And
sure.
it's normal. And I've talked about this in different episodes. Why do you think that ambiguity, it's almost like it feels safer than clarity for so many people, and men and women? Although I think as women, we
Oh, because that's not what I'm seeing in my practice. I'm saying that people have a phase where they might be okay with ambiguity or a situationship. They could have been spurned in some prior relationship and they're just like trying to find themselves again, but they are almost in a cynical position about relationships and believing that they can have a real love or a strong relationship that will endure. So a lot of times people say, I've tried that, that didn't work, so I'll try this. And I think that right now we're in the try it culture and we're looking to shows like your podcast. We're looking to media, social media to tell us what's regular, what the norm is, and what we should be trying to engage in. So people are trying a lot of things for different reasons. But at the end of the day, I'm just not seeing any of these quick solutions have long term impact to move the needle towards happiness and fulfillment.
what do you think these types of situations have? What sort of impact do you think that it has on us emotionally, psychologically? Because I don't think we talk about that enough.
Well, I think it's causing you to not believe that you can have love and maybe even to believe that you deserve it. And that what you saw in your mind's eye, you having in a relationship is possible for you. So, I think that the message that I want to give is a message more of hope. Now, listen, if I have all these people seeing me in the airport, on a plane, in a restaurant, I mean, some people know who I am and they'll come up and say, "Hey, how do I find somebody?" So I see a lot of people that are fed up with the rigmarole. But what do they feel? They feel hopeless, like this is all that there is. And I'm just here to say it's not all that there is. What I would do is learn true relationship skills so you can learn how to build, how to grow, produce, frame out what it is that you're looking for. Number two, if you're out there doing it and you're looking to do that, there's a host of other people that are in the same boat. And I really believe like attracts like. So as you're doing that in and through yourself, I believe you'll attract the other people that are of the same tribe. And so I guess I'm saying is be authentic. Go for know what you want and what you need and go for that. There's plenty of fish in the sea and there's some that will go for the bait that you have. You don't have to denigrate or change who you are to try to fit in what I believe that and I believe a lot of this is generated by media. People are saying what people are into, but not everybody. And I believe some people are into it for a short segment based on their circumstances. But I just kind of want to give a message of empowerment. Do you be you and look for and seek out what you believe you want and that you deserve.
I love that message. Now, one of the other things that we've been talking a lot about lately is choosing yourself. I think it not only does it empower women, but it empowers men as well. And there's this sort of line that we toggle between autonomy and emotional guardedness. How do you recognize when you're in self-protection mode versus avoidance? Because I do believe that's important to just
It is.
touch on.
It is, but it's really easy because you have to answer your why. So if you're very guarded, why are you guarded? Is it because it does it stem from fear? Are you afraid that this person's going to hurt you? That whatever happened to you that you didn't like from the last relationship is going to happen again. So that's the why, which is your metric. It's going to help you to identify where does this originate from. So if you're protective, that comes from wisdom, but wisdom doesn't operate out of fear. So wisdom is your ability to see patterns. It's your ability to say, this is what best suits me. And if I'm looking at this particular girl or this particular guy, do they exude what is best for me? You can kind of tell that, and I think the more you hone in on that skill, the sharper it gets. Like I can meet somebody in a few minutes and kind of tell you who they are, what is their archetype, what they likely will do and won't do. And it's just because I'm intentional. So I'm purposely looking to see. Some of us are afraid to see, so we're just flying by the seat of our pants in a relationship. So I would say that guardedness, okay, is often stems from fear because it means that you're afraid. Now, there's also something that comes with when you give yourself too quickly, meaning you give up your emotional position. So some people, what is that saying? It goes, only fools rush in. And what that really means is it means in a relationship, you should not be too fast to move your emotional position because
Those butterflies kinda
it's true. But before you fall in love, there's something here that has to be released that says it's okay. This person's safe for me to let go. Now, if you haven't checked that box and you're just rushing in, shame on you. You brought that on yourself. And so I really believe strongly in our ability to take responsibility for the role we play and the decisions that we make in the relationships. And I think where we've gotten lost to some extent is that there's a lot of blaming, like, oh, he gaslit me or he broke my heart. Okay, but what did you see before those things happened that should have alerted you? Where's your place of responsibility in what happened to you? And so I think that this is where the lines get muddied and you can't really heal and move forward until you take the responsibility of your own role in it. Number two, I really believe that after you end one relationship, whether it's good or bad, you should have takeaways. This is what I learned from that relationship. You should learn something more about yourself that can help you as you're navigating the next relationship. There should be something. Now, if you haven't really gone back through and reflected over the relationship, like I noticed that I'm very intuitive, but I often would overlook what I saw at the very beginning. I would overlook it and try to say, oh, well, reason it away. I learned to listen to my gut. Now, there's actual science in that. There is a stomach to brain connection that helps you to feel something in here before you really understand and really massage it intellectually biologically, you can feel that there's something a little off. Pay attention to those things. Learn. I was afraid because I didn't know the recipe for how to negotiate or build healthy relationships. I didn't know that there was one. When I found out that there is, all I need to do is hone the skills. I don't need to fear marriage. I don't need to fear commitment if I know how to choose the right person. That's it.
I hear intention. You have to be intentional.
Once you know how to do that, there's no need to be afraid anymore. Will fear come up from time to time? Yeah, but you recognize it, you deal with whatever it is that's, I guess, the precursor to that fear, the whatever's, precipitating that fear. And that's called real relationships. Real relationships are messy. You learn to work them out. And I find a lot of people are unhappy in relationships, but it's really because what they're looking for doesn't exist.
Emphasizing.
Oh my God, there's romanticism over relationships and like marriage. It's like the man looking for the pearl of great cost. He's looked and looked and looked. And then come to find out a guest comes over and he says, "Oh my, you have pearls everywhere." But he's been looking his whole life. He's almost gone bankrupt looking for a pearl, and they're right in front of him and he didn't understand it. So relationships are messy. They're not picture perfect. They're not sexy. They have sexy moments, they have sexy segments, but overall, they're messy, they're mundane, and they take work. It's just like going to your job. It could be a great opportunity, but if you don't manage it well, if you don't show up whole and ready to work, a lot of bad things can happen. That great opportunity, that great relationship can turn sour. So again, we got to
That's a reality check. That's a reality check right there.
Yeah, there's no
Ooh.
perfect person, there's no perfect job. All of them have pluses and negatives. You gotta figure out whether you have more pluses in this column than negatives in that, and are those pluses in your top 5? Are they the things that you really know that you need to thrive and be good?
Is
You
that those deal breakers that we talk about?
Well, the deal breakers are the things that you don't want that you're saying, "I cannot coexist with these things," right? So you have the list of the things that you need, and then you have the list of the things that which are the deal breakers. If that's not there, I'm gone. If this happens, that's it. And so you have to know what those are. I knew after a short while of dating what my non-negotiables were, and I knew why they were non-negotiables for me. I never will say to anyone, any couple, compromise on those.
Do you think the lack of self-awareness that we may have infringes on the way we date?
Because if I don't see my blind spots, it's all about you and what you did. And I never grow, I never correct, I never create workarounds to my weaknesses. To me, you gotta examine those because I that's like me taking the garbage from one relationship into another. I remember I was talking to a young professional and she was like, "I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of these relationships around me. I'm gonna move. I'm just gonna abandon my practice. I'm gonna move." And I said to her, I said, "Your issue is you don't know how to set boundaries. Your issue
Mm.
is that you also volunteer for a lot of work because it's the call that's in you. It's one of your ways of showing love, but then you resent it because it has greater responsibility and weight." And I said to her, I said, "Don't worry. You can't move and get rid of that. It's going to follow you wherever you go because it's internal. You got to fix this first. Then it doesn't matter where you are, you'll be able to live in peace." And, I got a call not long ago saying, Dr. Jackie, I've moved again and I finally understand what you said. Everything you told me was right. Now I'm just going to be alone and do the work on me.
You know, that baggage, it's almost like a backpack. It follows you everywhere
And
until you unpack whatever it is that you need to unpack. And everyone has it, and I think as we get older, the backpack gets heavier.
But let's
Just
talk about the metrics. Let's talk about what you just said. The metrics that it's you is if other people have said the same thing to you, then you know it's you. And if it hurts when you think about it and you have to acknowledge it, it's you. That's something in you that's wanting to know the truth, but at the same time, fearing it because it means that you're going to have to what? Change. Number 2, you talked about that the backpack gets heavier. What do we know? Our defense mechanisms and our effects from trauma get worse over time. So every time your defense mechanism, remember, they're only created for temporary use. You were just supposed to grow and mature in that area so you could meet the situation head on. but instead you develop the workaround, which is the defense mechanism just to get you through it. Most people don't go back, they don't reflect, they don't build the skills after that. So they just continue to operate with the defense mechanism, which remember is not operating from wholeness, it's operating with a cast on your foot. So over time, it creates friction in whatever relationships that you get into, but not wanting to. We as human beings, we don't like to look at ourselves. We always are looking outward. Our eyes look that way, not inward.
It's like it's a natural reflex that we have. And I have to tell you, there is no wonder that we're suffering. Many of us are suffering from dating fatigue. If someone feels exhausted by, call it modern dating. I don't know. Dating wasn't this hard years ago, decades ago. What would a healthy reset look like for that person? Because
Help.
I think we jump. We're looking for something.
Right. But look inside. First, spend time with you and start to love and appreciate you and your value. Know who you are. Know what you want. Know what you need, because it's different a need and a want. If you can't define that, how are you shopping that and bringing it to market? How are you ever going to get the right person that's compatible if you don't even know those basic things? Number two, I would begin to do, you can use your dating apps, you can use social for initial connections, but get offline after that and try to create as many real world connections with that person, interactions with that person. Try to avoid always doing the easiest thing, which is to text or to, have real connection, real interaction. And that
I
builds something that's easily evaluated.
I almost find that there are people that it's like the go-to because it's so easy, it's so accessible. You don't have to get out of your house. You don't have to go look cute. You don't, it's just it's there all the time. So do agree that we're losing the science of connection. We're definitely losing it.
And communication, the
That's right.
ability to communicate for men in that
Right.
masculine energy, the ability to pursue a woman, to woo a woman, really important.
I love that. And I don't want to let you go before asking because I read an article about this and I have to ask you about it. So there are women out there that are hesitating to say, I have a boyfriend. Decades ago, this was a goal on, I don't know, on my list, on many of my friends' list. Why do you think we're having that hesitation? Is it independence or identity? Like, what is it why are we struggling?
I don't think that there's one reason. I think there's various reasons. It could be popular culture, acting like, and if you're an empowered woman, you don't need a boyfriend. It could be that you don't have confidence that the relationship has legs. So why say that you have a boyfriend when you don't really know? It could be that the relationship has not been defined. Is he really a boyfriend? What position is he in? Is it one of those relationships where there is no parameter? There are no parameters, and it's hasn't been given boundaries yet. So I think that there could be a plethora of different reasons why someone might not want to do that. But all I'm saying is push back, push back. Don't accept that just because you're reading these articles and you're seeing this on social, that that's really the reality. The reality is what you make it.
Do you think that we can own our autonomy and still have a desired partnership without losing our power? Because I can tell you are empowerment. So how do you
I
balance that?
I've been married 36 years next month in a couple of weeks. So, yes, you can have empowerment and, your own autonomy and all of those things. Again, it's all about choosing the right mate, someone that complements that, that sees that as normal and desirous, right? So, I am an empowered woman. I love empowered people. It's what I do. I like to empower people to be the best version because I think if we're all trying to be the same, not good. I don't like vanilla all the time. I want some chocolate,
Oh,
strawberry, butter pecan, variety. And it's the thing that makes us famous. Nobody wants two Beyoncés. There's only one. Nobody wants two
right.
Michael Jacksons. There was only one. And so our power and our beauty is in our uniqueness. And so I guess my push is be autonomous, be who you are. And there's some people that are going to love you as you are. You don't have to edit yourself. You don't have to be somebody that you're not. There's so many people out there that they need you the way that you are.
I love that. So I love to close the show with a truth bomb closer. That's what I call them. For men and women listening who wants love but feel conflicted about expressing it, what is one truth they need to understand. And this is a whole nother episode. But there's so many of us that are hiding the fact that, I know I want love. I need love. I'm not desperate for it. I've learned to give myself love too, but it's nice to get it. So, how do you close us out with a truth that we all need to know about expressing love?
You need to know that you're worthy of love. Period. Dot. Full stop.
I love it. Dr. Jackie, you're amazing. Can you please share with our listeners how they can find you and learn more about your work?
drjackie.com. That's Dr. Dr. Jackie with a Q, ACQUIE.com. And hopefully you'll put it on the lower.
Of course,
And you can follow me on Ask Dr. Jackie on Instagram, also on Facebook. And what's the other one? TikTok.
TikTok. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your valuable insight with us. As you reflect on this conversation, I invite you to consider this. Desire is not weakness, clarity is not desperation, and partnership does not diminish power. It reflects emotional maturity. If this resonated, please share it with someone navigating modern dating with intention. And thank you, loves, for being here today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.